Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 1 p.m. Saturday in Hong Kong. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thank you so much for joining us.
Tonight's topic is star notes. Transcribe the work of early women astronomers, and we'll be back in 6.8 seconds. Okay, I found this project on Zooniverse, actually when I was looking for the project that I did last week, and I thought Pam would love it. And
Yep.
Yeah, I think I was right. So, Pam, take her away.
Alrighty. So this is called Star Notes, and you basically are helping to transcribe the work of women astronomers, also known as computers, like one who computes, not the devices we know about today that are machines. They're notebooks. We take their notebooks, yeah?
Hi, Cliff.
Oh, hi, Cliff. We're taking their notebooks and we are typing out what we see in there. And in this case, they're talking about the plates, but I'll get to that in a second because part of the rest of this page looks like this, and these are some of the notebooks, that kind of thing. I'm going to go start through the navigation here about classify, talk, and collect. So that's what I'll work through today. Oh, and you'll notice that they have quite a few volunteers already, over 8,000, with over 2,000 classifications made on 2,000 subjects. This is pretty new because they're nowhere near complete. They have 0% complete on this project. So if you click on the About link above, you get to this page, and they do describe that these were women at Harvard University, and this is a picture from the archives. They call this a paper doll stand. I forget what it is though. Here it is, paper doll pose. So this is the Project Phaedra, and this is initiative by the Wolbeck Library. They have a term for Phaedra. It stands for Preserving Harvard's Early Data and Research in Astronomy. And so the goal is to transcribe what they call metadata for over 2,500 notebooks that were produced basically 100 years ago and more. So these women made some incredible advancements and discoveries that we are still aware of and use today, like the Henry Draper catalog. We'll talk about that in a second. But so I really hope this project will make this remarkable set of items accessible in the future. This is very important work so that modern researchers can, connect to these notebooks and the physical glass plate photographs that they use to make their discoveries. And they do go into a little bit about these women astronomers. So I knew about a couple of them, like Annie Jump Cannon. The rest of these, though, are new to me. And they talk a little bit about some of them here. Worked at Harvard College, became Mrs. Molly Sloan, and Sloan is a famous name in astronomy. They also mention things like, let me find it real quick. Oh yeah, discover the Ring Nebula. Worked at Vanderbilt Dyer Observatory. And also married someone who is famous in astronomy too. He was the director of that observatory.
Well, and also Seaford variables.
No, that's a different word. That's not Seaford, it's Cepheid.
Oh, Cepheid, okay.
So then they have Hannah Lockwood. She assisted Annie Jump Cannon. And Annie Jump Cannon is one of the most famous of these women. They did, like I said, the Henry Draper catalog, and they calculated the magnitudes and positions of the stars. And I love the part where they say 10 notebooks by Lockhart in Project Phaedra. And here we are with Annie Jump Cannon. And she's very important and notable because she created this, she developed here it is, she developed a star classification system that is still in use today. According to her classification system, stars can be either O, B, A, F, G, K, or M, with O being the hottest stars and M being the coolest. And this should be familiar to anyone who has, studied this in any way, shape, or form. There's a whole chart that basically classifies where the stars are. And I didn't know this part. She was named curator of astronomical photographs. And then she discovered 300 variable stars, 5 new stars, in one spectroscopic binary, which I don't really know what that means. If anybody knows what that is, I would really love to hear what you know. She was the first female recipient of an honorary doctorate from Oxford University. And they go down a little bit, and I have this text here a little bit bigger, but I wanted to show you, this is an example of one of these photographic plates. They're on glass.
And they're photographed in the negative.
Yes, that's quite right.
Because a black dot is easier to on white is easier to see than a white dot on black. So.
Right, yes it is. So here they talk about there are 500,000 glass plate photographs that represent the first ever pictures of the visible universe. Each one is identified with a unique plate number, and that's what we're doing in this project. We are finding the plate number on the page, the textbook page, and basically typing that out so it can be, searched for and easily found in a text that's, by the computer, something we do with a computer. It's not handwritten. And there's something interesting about the handwriting too, but we'll get to that in a second. So they would record which glass plates they were researching, and they, would use the designation from the plate number, which they'll talk about the format a little bit lower down. So we need volunteers to find and transcribe these handwritten plate numbers. So that's the project. You find the plate numbers on the notebooks and you transcribe them. And I'll show you how it works, because I did a bunch of these already. But one of the things I wanted to point out here was how this is going to be helpful with this digital access to a sky century at Harvard. It'll allow researchers in time domain astrophysics to better understand how the universe is evolving. So this is a pretty important project, and you can make a difference by helping to transcribe these plate numbers. So we'll go ahead and move on to the classify navigation part of this site. And just kind of like, Jeff showed you last week, they have a bit of a tutorial, and they describe how to use this tool and how to work through it in about 7 steps, I think it is. Yeah, something like that. And each one you hit continue and it goes on to the next step. And it describes all these different parts of this tool and tells you how to use it. And I just blew them up so we could see them a little bit better. Thanks, welcome, and thanks. So they suggest using Google Chrome and Firefox. And I think it's just fine to read through these. They're very, very comprehensive, and it's not very complicated. And this is a pretty fun project. You don't have to register for it or anything. And I think that was the same with yours last time, right, Jeff?
Right, yeah.
So then they talk about this tool, and I just focused in on it here in a second.
And that's the exact same tool that was in the planetarium.
So it's part of the Zooniverse platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, this draws the box, and this you can move around the page. You can zoom in and out, and I bet you can rotate. I didn't really play with that because it's harder to see them rotated on their side. But they do describe, if you've never seen the Zooniverse tools before, they do talk to you about how you use them and how you move around on the page.
Oh, they didn't actually have this description on the one that I did last week.
Oh, they didn't?
I guess they just assumed that you would know what those tools were for.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, every time you want to hit continue and you move to the next screen. And I just blew this up so it was really easy to see the different tools in that area. And then they describe these plate numbers, and they talk about what you're going to find. And sometimes you'll find, like in this case, there's a letter I in front of it, and then there's a set of numbers, a series of numbers. And that could be anywhere from 1 to 6 numbers long. And this is a really clear example of a plate number. Some of them aren't as easy to figure out. And you're just going to draw a rectangle around it and then type in what you see, exactly as you see it. All right, so we hit continue. We go to the next one. Oh, I guess this is part the lower down on this one. So just read through these. It's very, like I said, very comprehensive, very easy to figure out what they're talking about. And here it is. You'll be identifying plate numbers on the notebook pages. They consist of 2 parts, letters and numbers, some 1 to 6 numbers for each of these plate, these glass plate designations. And they give you some examples right here and right here. So you don't have to worry about it too much if you can't figure it out, or if you don't understand where they might be, because a lot of people are going to be working on this. Now, I know Jeff talked about 40 people each page last week. I didn't see anything like that in this project, but I'm sure they're going to have a lot of people look at the same page, so that they can get an understanding of what it is that people are seeing there.
And to filter out just the mistakes, you click on something and you hit next without, when you meant to hit go back or something like that. And so a few of those will crop up anywhere. So you get 40 people looking at it, the same image, you filter out the 1 or 2 that goofed.
Yeah, and I remember looking at one and I didn't think I saw them, and I saw the next page and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe there was something on that previous page, but there's no way to go back to see the page that you worked on already. Mm-hmm. All right, and so they have just 2 options to start with. Are there any plate numbers visible on this page? And the answer is either yes or no. They do have some other aspects to work with though, like this tutorial here. It just pops up these little guides for you. And this field guide here, I have an image of that popped out as well. You click on it and it just comes out, and you can see all the different parts of that too. So then they say, you've got need some help, you've got done and talk, you've got the field guide. There's lots and lots of ways to help you do this work, to take care of this project. And moving on. Yep, there it is. I wanted to highlight the field guide button. It's a little flag there. Okay. And so here it is, the field guide. When you click on that, it expands out into this whole list of things to do. And they talk about some specifics, like some of these people had sort of little quirks of writing. And we love the conversation about cursive. Yeah. Because not everybody knows cursive anymore. So they actually give you some
examples of cursive.
Yeah, examples
for the millennials
cursive
out there.
Yeah, and some of these folks were doing kind of a stylized X, for example, and they would say, this is something that Wilhelmina would kind of do. And so, to understand what it is, you have a lot of little cheat sheets here.
Yeah,
and it goes on beyond this.
Some of the people would do shortcuts, and so
right,
they would give examples of the different shortcuts that different people gave, just to make it easier to
right. And I recommend going through all of these before you start, mostly because then you'll know where to find that information again if you come across something that you need to reference later. And so we're still moving through this little tutorial. They actually show you the box and where you type in the letter number sequence. Even if you don't see the letters first, they want you to add the letters in so that every single one of these gets logged.
Yeah, so if you've got like a column that says, in this case, MZ, or I think, but then have a row of numbers underneath it. Those are different plates, but they all start with MZ.
Right. Yeah, so they want the full plate designation added to the box here when you transcribe these. And then sometimes they just put plate with no letters. In that case, you want to put the asterisk in front and then put the numbers. And again, here's Wilhelmina Fleming. She tended to do plate and then numbers. She didn't actually give the letters to the plate designation.
Because she knew which series she was working on.
Right.
And probably anyone who looks at her collection will know. So the asterisk, I think, is just to let the researchers know that they need to add that in. They need to figure out who did this, page and which plate to assign.
Oh, could be. Yeah. I mean, as the general public, we're just putting them in as we see them. In this case, it would be the asterisk, the number, and sometimes they'll have plate, and sometimes they'll put a PL, which stands for plate. All right, we're almost done with the tutorial. So let's look at the last thing here. So then you draw the rectangle, then you type in the number and include the letter, even if, like we said, even if, no, this one's about the done and talk. All right, so after you found red plate number, you can go and do, click on the done and talk to discuss. They're basically forums where you can discuss that exact page, in fact. And if you want to just click on done and move on to the next page, that's okay too. And so you're ready to go. That's really it for the tutorial. And I encountered this page first, and basically it's blank. So you answer the question, are there any plate numbers visible? And in this case, there's nothing on the page, so I will say no, and then I'll click on done. And then it takes you to the next page. And as you see, there is a PL here. So I clicked on yes, and then the next button here, and then it gives you the tool that you can draw the box around the plate numbers, right? And so I did. They're coming. So here's how it looks when you create the box and you type in the number. And I love this, how they give you an example again. So you don't have to remember all the parts of this tutorial. They actually explain, put the letter first and put the number, or put the asterisk if you don't see a letter. And I didn't see a letter, so I actually put the asterisk first and the numbers. And then you click on OK. And there were a whole bunch of them on this page, so I just went through and put a box around every single one of them. That's what they want. They want a box around every single plate number that you see on the page. And then you type it in and click OK. So really easy, really fun. And again, if you want to talk about it, they do have forum. They have all the projects listed in this page. And there's that page. See, it shows up for you. They actually give you the page to talk about.
And it references the subject number.
Right.
So that, someone knows and can go back and maybe they can see which book this came out of. So when it says PL there, they'd know which book they can look back and see which book it comes out of. And
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And give you a better.
So, and if you just click on the talk part, it goes right to the forum itself. And it's like any other forum. There's lots of different topics. And sometimes there's people, and sometimes there weren't. I was very late at night. There were no active participants when I went and looked.
Yeah, because we're on the West Coast, so when it's late here, it's really late on the East Coast. So
right, exactly. All right, so let's see. I wanted to point out this part too, because there is a little link at the under the yes no that says need some help with this task, and if you click on that, it brings you to this whole page. And they explain that you can actually look up the plates in this database. And you can check out the plate series list for further clarification here as well. And then I love the part at the bottom where they give the whole cursive alphabet.
There you go, millennials. That's what it actually looks like when you write.
Well, I mean, we were raised to write this way, and so it's pretty easy to understand. But I can see that if you didn't get this training, you might not know. Well, like, look at this. This is a Q, and that's the lowercase q. I mean, if that's what you see on the page, you're going to sit there and go, what in the heck am I seeing? So I can understand that. And then this last button on the navigation bar, collect, it's really where individual, users can put together the things that they liked. And Jeff had a good idea. Tell them what you were thinking before.
Oh, what was my idea?
Well, that maybe some of the people were working on part of the project and wanted to reference these again later or something. Yeah.
So if they're working on a specific project or research paper, they can, if anything that they find here applies to what they're doing, they could put it in a collection. In a lot of the other ones, like in the Mars terrain one, there were a lot of collections where someone just found a neat image of the terrain, and so they made their own collection of neat images of terrain.
Okay, so this isn't going to be like that. Or even last week when Jeff was talking about the photographs of the Adler Planetarium collection, those were actually really cool pictures. And I think a collection of those would be really neat. But it's kind of like hitting the like button, and they just gathered these all together. And in this case, they're just notebook pages. They're not like pretty pictures. And, they're just getting started. So there's going to probably be more. And some of these are the same name. So this is the same person who collected these together for some reason.
Yeah. And maybe just to test it too. Who knows?
Right. So basically that is that project and how to use it. And you don't have to register or anything. But I think that if you do, you have access to some other things. I didn't register myself, but I would definitely say take a look. Again, I think this is a really important project, and it will connect astronomers from today into future projects.
Okay. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them up while I take care of what you can see in the night sky this week. Beginning June 11th through June 18th. I actually got the month right this time. The moon is 1 day old. Really tiny and probably a lot.
Very, yeah.
For the first quarter moon is on June 17th. June 12th, Venus and the moon are in conjunction very soon after sunset, very low in the west.
Yeah, because the moon is like 2 days old.
Yeah. June 13th, Mars and the moon are in conjunction shortly after sunset, also in the west, slightly higher than Venus. June 17th, first quarter moon. And
another quiet week. Sometimes it's really busy and sometimes it's really not. So, yeah, like we said, if you have questions, let us know. Even afterwards, we'll come and try and find your questions in the comments areas. And yeah, if you or someone has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, astronomy like that, we'd love to share our live. I actually heard from somebody today who might be a guest coming soon. So join us again next Friday, June the 18th, when we'll continue our Citizen Science series with another Zooniverse project called Cosmological Jellyfish. And their byline is to help us find galaxies that look like jellyfish. Jeff is going to take point on that one. I can't wait to see what he says about that particular project. Should be interesting.
Well, we're looking for, here's Cliff.
Oh, hi, Cliff. What does he say? I can't read.
Saw your pic of you on a solar scope.
On a solar scope. Oh, okay. You'll have to show me what that is.
Or just, where did you find that?
Because, where did you see that?
Yeah, because we've had we've had that picture up in a couple of places, but so yeah. Yeah, because we Facebook. Okay.
On Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, because we looked at a transit of Mercury,
Oh, yes.
using our solar scope to
Yeah.
watch it.
The spotting scope. Yeah. So, yeah, if there are any more questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great week. We'll see you next week with Jellyfish Galaxies.
Yes.
I can't wait. Good night.
Good night.